You have tuned into the Scars and Guitars podcast series, and I also syndicate for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and what follows is a conversation between myself and Fredrik Åkesson. He's in a band from Sweden. They're called Opeth. I'm sure you've heard of them. The reason for the conversation is to promote the upcoming live DVD and also CD, or the live album really I should say, called Garden of the Titans, live at Red Rocks Amphitheatre. So let's have a listen to what Fredrik has to say. Here we go. The darndest things happen. I've done over 300 of these at this point, and look, apologies for the cars driving past me. It should be a bit quieter because it's a bit later at night here. But
no, it's no problem. I just heard a little silent. You're a guitar player, I can tell by the picture here on Skype, or a bass player.
Bass player, yeah, I do play guitar as well, but yeah, I've been a musician for about 25 odd years or so.
Oh, right on.
Which, you know, nowhere near the heights of someone like yourself, that's for sure. I'm a covers musician. I earn an honest living playing covers around Queensland. So
cool.
I enjoy doing that, but I've got to tell you, mate, too, I really do enjoy this new live album that you guys have released or about to release sometime in November. This Garden.
Thank you. Have you listened to its the entire album?
A couple of times, yeah. And now my first question for you is going to be, so don't take this as anything other than a question because it's exactly what it is. It sounds perfect, almost too perfect. So my question for you is, mate, has there been any studio overdubs done on this, or is this exactly how it came out of the mixing desk at the actual venue?
No, I had to fix one thing actually, but initially I wanted to redo one solo because it was a bit of a slipped note or something, but Michael said no, you can't. So we wanted to be a live album, but I guess it's our fault that it sounds perfect then. But
we're a great band. I don't blame you for sounding perfect because you guys have put in the work, but it's pristine.
We didn't redo anything really, you know, apart from one. I had a guitar that was out of tune in the song "Goes to Perdition" in the beginning because I hit the strings in one certain way, and the guitar tech could tune the guitars hit the strings in a different way. So sometimes, especially this song, is detuned. It's very delicate. It has this open tuning, and it was a bit out of tune, so we figured, well, might as well just to redo that short section. It doesn't have to do with you played it bad or it was a mistake. It just sounds too bad, so we just redid it. So I think that's all right. But initially, we wanted to keep it as real as it was at the gig, of course, you know.
Yeah, well, it sounds unbelievable, and I know Fleetwood Mac have done some recording there in the past, but yours, and there's a few bands actually. I know Fleetwood Mac haven't released a live album from Red Rocks, but there are a few bands out there that have released them, and I actually went onto YouTube and did a bit of searching, so I can't name check any of them now, but of the stuff that I heard, yours sounds the best. So what were the challenges to recording and capturing a great sound at the venue?
Well, the gig itself was actually quite challenging because it was 0 degrees cold. During daytime, it was warm and nice, you know, but I believe it's a bit of a desert climate over there. So it gets really freezing during night. And we figured, no, this is too cold. We're not going to pull it off. We were struggling, you know, playing the gig.
I bet. 0,
and you can tell when you... After a few songs in, it was a storm blowing up as well. When you watch the DVD, you can tell it's quite windy. We had this big screen in the background showing off some footage and movies along with the gig. And our tour manager told us that it was about 4 guys had to hang in that, otherwise it would have blown away.
Wow, okay,
but I think that creates an atmosphere to the actual DVD. When you watch it, you can definitely tell a few songs into the set that it's quite windy.
Yeah. So how did you approach how did you approach playing at a gig like that? So did you actually know that you were going to be releasing the show as a DVD and also as a recording or an MP3 or a CD as well, or was it one of those things where you look back on afterwards and go, this is actually a special moment in time for us, and we want to have it out there as a special release for people?
Yeah, we knew about this, of course. About 4 months prior to the show, our manager, Andy, brought up the idea, and we looked up Red Rocks on the internet, and we thought, yeah, he's right. This is a good opportunity because we had some questions about doing a DVD prior to this one, but we turned it down actually because we don't want to really milk that. And it's been 3 studio albums since the last one, so we figured this is a good opportunity, and especially doing it outdoors in a classic amphitheater like Red Rocks, which is just an epic place.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different from the previous ones because they're all recorded indoors, and all of them are recorded in the UK actually.
Yes.
So we figured this is a good opportunity, and the band is in good shape. We've done about 70 shows now in this Sorcerer's tour. So we figured, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, why not? And I think this is your second live album with the band, if I'm not mistaken. Is that correct?
That's correct. Yeah, the previous one was live at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yeah, that's right. And the other thing too is that Opeth, you're a bit of a rare beast as a band in that you have critical acclaim, but you also have the fan base to match, and typically you get one or the other. Now, the other important thing though is that fans have come on the journey from the very early death metal sounds in the 90s to the prog influence stuff, especially in the past 10 years, or really since your arrival. But what do you attribute the success of the band down to?
I think it has to do that, Michael, he wouldn't, if somebody says something to him, can't you do this? He will do the opposite. This comes to, in a way, the artistic freedom. That's very important, especially talking a bit about Michael and also the band, of course, but since he's the main songwriter, to do what he wants, and nobody can tell him what to do, and he won't care. And I think the band is a lot about trying to push the boundaries, do something different for each album, and not very keen on repeating ourselves. That's always a big goal, and maybe that has to do with it. That we upset some people, but I think some, we still love to play the old school stuff live, but not necessarily trying to make a Blackwater Park Part 2. That would be a bit cheesy, really. That would be kind of sellout, actually.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine you guys doing that. Yeah, you're not one of those bands that's trying to recapture past glories. You're a band that's very forward-looking, and that's a good question for you, actually. After this album here, now I've read a few interviews with you online prior to our conversation here, but you probably understand that fans want a new album sooner rather than later. So are you're working on a new album at the moment to the extent where you've actually recorded guitar solos, I was reading. So how far away is a new album from you guys? Yeah,
there's been a lot of demos done. I'm not supposed to talk too much about it, I'm afraid, but I can tell you this much. We're aiming to go into the studio very soon. And we were really excited to go into the studio, and right now we've decided where, but I don't think I'm allowed
That's all right.
to tell that either.
I don't want you to get into trouble, so don't do it. Yeah, it's all right.
But there's a new album in the works, without a doubt, and we have a plan. So hope people will enjoy, this live DVD, and I'm more than happy to talk more about the album with you when the time comes.
No, for sure.
But for sure, we're super excited, and we think it's going to be great. And that's like the first filter we have to go through. We have to feel that it's going to be great, otherwise we wouldn't do it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And look, just about this live album here as well, the other thing I noticed were some of the comments, I think it was on YouTube or Facebook, but people were asking about the availability of vinyl for it. So I take it there's going to be a vinyl release as well.
Yeah, I have it back home. It's a few different releases. Like Nuclear Blast does this limited versions. So there's one in 350 copies, which is probably difficult to get hold on, and 500 and 1,000 limited. And there's the regular vinyl. So yeah, definitely. And that's very important for us to put out the great. It's going to be on CD as well. The great vinyl. It's gate folded with a
beautiful.
A lot of pictures in the inner sleeves, like compilations of different pictures from the gig and off the gig. And we had a photographer there the entire day, took pictures backstage, and the cover art, the artwork's always very important, of course, as well. And this time around, we did a little thing connected to the purple, you could say, in rock.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So that was a pretty funny idea, and it's again Travis Smith who did the artwork for Opeth since it's Still Life album has done it, and and the vinyl sounds great. So if you're into vinyl, I definitely recommend it.
Yeah, well, look, if it sounds anywhere, it's obviously going to sound better than the MP3 because it's not going to be as compressed, but the MP3 sounds remarkable. So on a really good pair of speakers and a high-quality turntable, it would just fill a room with the beautiful music you guys created. So if anybody, I intend on releasing this as a podcast, if that's okay, podcast episode. So if anybody listening wants to experience the Garden of the Titans live at Red Rocks Amphitheatre, as I think you guys as the artists and musicians have intended, vinyl's the only way to really do it.
Yeah, vinyl rules.
It does indeed, yeah. So just about you and your career, you've been doing this a long time. I was on Wikipedia and I was looking through your history, and there's far too many bands to mention that you've been a part of. But you remind me of one of those guys, a bit like, and the name's going to escape me now, the relatively new guitarist that joined Cradle of Filth a couple of years ago, who could play jazz or probably joined Rihanna's band or Nicki Minaj's band or something like that. And I can hear you playing in the background there, which is really cool. But when you started out, was it your intention to become a globally renowned musician, or did you just want to be an honest, hard-working musician who probably studied hard to get to where you needed to go to and just wanted to have a career or thereabouts? So I guess I'll reframe my question and say, has your success, has it been anticipated?
When I was a kid growing up, I just wanted to rock, basically. I grew up, like Angus Young was the first thing that got me into heavy rock music, And I've always been like a metalhead, basically, into hard rock. And my goal has always been to focus on one band. And, when I was younger, I didn't go to college. I quit after 9th grade, and I started working at a factory to buy my first Marshall amp, basically. And then when I was about 19, I got my first gig with a band called Talisman, which was Jeff Scott Soto on vocals and Marcel Jacob.
Wow.
They were a generation older than me, and I was a little kid, I got that gig, and I managed to, because my dad told me that if you have your chance up till 19 to make it professionally, otherwise you will have to go study. And just when I was 19, I got that gig. So it was kind of strange. It was great, it was a great experience. And I was probably very immature and everything, but I learned a lot from Marcel. He was a great technical player, and it was a bit more melodic hard rock stuff, but had a lot of solos and stuff. And I was totally into Guitar Heroes and all that stuff. Like, I was heavily into Michael Schenker, Gary Moore, and
nice.
Uli-Jan Roth, Frank Marino. The list goes. Ed Van Halen, Yngwie Malmsteen, a lot of people.
The master,
Jeff Beck, and but of course you always try to listen to different types of music, trying to understand some about like jazz theory, getting into depth of blues and stuff like that. The stuff that I still work on, and I think it's important, even if you're only playing with a heavy band, that you get inspiration from different types of music.
Indeed, yeah.
Instead of looking at the neighbor, what he's doing, so to speak. So, but in a way, the main bands I've been playing with since, like, we started with Talisman, then I was in this band called Crux, which is a doom metal band with members from Entombed and Candlemass.
Oh, nice, yeah.
And which is more like epic doom metal, kind of dirty, but it's pretty cool. It's 3 albums out there called Crux, Krux. Mm-hmm. And then I was I had my own band called Southpaw for a while, which didn't much didn't happen with it. We opened up for Dio, actually, 4 gigs in Sweden. That's about it. And we kind of got ripped off by some company, and it didn't sell anything anyways. But it was quite an interesting album. And after that, I was in a band called Tiamat for a while, but I was only mainly touring. I wasn't really part of the band. And after that, I was, as a lot of people probably know, I was in Arch Enemy.
Yeah.
For 1.5 years, and after that, pretty much just a couple of months after that, Michael called me and asked me to join the Opeth, which was, the best that could have happened to me, because I was a fan of the band, and since then I've been able to focus on just one band, and that's been my goal all the time.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a progression there, but I'll tell you something else. Your success alludes to something that I've spoken to a number of Swedish musicians about, but I think that Sweden has produced more rock and metal musicians than per capita than any other country, I think. So there's two good. I really enjoy your playing, and I'm not just saying that because I'm talking to you. I genuinely do. I enjoy listening to your solos and anticipating when they're coming, particularly on the last album that you guys released. And there's another fellow. There's another fellow from Sweden, Marcus Jadell, who you mentioned Candlemass, so he does a lot of work with Leif Edling in the Doomsday Kingdom, and he's got Avatarium. Yes. I'd love to see like a Swedish guitar invasion show happen. You know how the G3 thing happened with Satriani and Vi and Steve Lukather and those guys.
Yeah.
I'd love to see you guys in Sweden do something similar and bring it to people, because I actually think people would turn up. Because there's the obvious one, there's Yngwie, of course, but then there's yourself, there's Marcus, and there are the guys. Are the guys in Arch Enemy, are they Swedish or are they English? I know the band.
They're Swedish.
Swedish. There you go.
I mean, Michael Amott is his dad is from the UK, but he grew up in Sweden, as far as I know. He lives in Sweden, so it's a bit of both. Yeah.
Well, I guess the point still stands, though, that there are some truly remarkable musicians from Sweden in heavy metal and rock and roll. Has that ever come up after, your 8th beer, that sort of thing? Hey, why don't we get together and take some of our guitar sounds to the world?
That's a pretty cool idea, actually. I might think about that.
I'd love to see it. And as I say, I actually think people would want to see it, because it's... there's this whole globalization thing these days where it's, people are sort of moving away from homogenous cultures and the like, but a lot of that sort of stuff's still really cool. Big Swedish flag in the background, you guys getting up on there and just rocking out and doing your thing. There'd certainly be an audience
down
here.
Idea. I mean, I went to see the G3 tour once in Copenhagen, in Scandinavia, and in Denmark, apparently. And at that particular time was Joe Satriani, Michael Schenker, and John Ole Roth, and that was just the dream lineup for me, and it was amazing. But speaking of Swedish guitar players, I'm actually in this a movie called Axemen of Sweden. If you want to check it out, it's on YouTube.
I am going to check it
out. John Norum is in it, and a few jazz guys, and also Per Nilsson from Scar Symmetry, also stepping in for Fredrik Thorndal in Meshuggah, by the way, who was also like a shred monster.
Well, there's another one. Yeah, actually, I've just found it now. So it's a 2.5-hour film. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a long movie if you're a guitar nerd, but there's some playing in it. I do some playing, and it's done a few years back, but it's a very long movie.
Yeah, there you go. You got 20,000 views on a minute 20 segment that's taken from the film for you there. That's great.
Okay,
I didn't even know that existed. So there you go.
Yeah, there's a little guitar nerdery for you.
Well, somebody else is thinking the same way I'm thinking, but mate, I'd better let you go to your next one. Hey, I think I've only got the 20 minutes, haven't I?
If you have one more question, that's fine.
Yeah, one more. So we've talked about Sweden. Let's talk about Australia. So you played the Opera House last year, I think it was, and I think you probably could have done that 7 nights in a row and sold it out because such was the demand for tickets. But what was that experience like?
It was quite amazing. I'm happy that we managed to do a special gig for that event. We played this longer set list, almost 3 hours, and thinking back, it's quite overwhelming that with the support we got, it was sold out in just a couple of days, I believe. So. It was a special gig. I will never forget it. To play there, it was amazing, and the crowd was great. And even though it's seated and everything, it's framed a little different than a regular gig, sort of speaking. But the audience was great, and I think the acoustics in there are probably awesome.
Yep.
So, thanks for that, Australia. Really.
Yeah, look, I tried to get tickets, and actually, as I say, I'm in Queensland, and so I tried to fly down for it, but tickets were snapped up very quickly, I think within a couple of hours, as a matter of fact.
Hopefully we can play it one time more, and maybe several dates,
Yeah, I'd love to see you guys do a bit of a chamber, I call it chamber or opera tour, so to speak, in all of the major capital cities here in Australia. I hope a promoter or arranger can approach your management and try to organise that, because people would turn up to it. The music suits that, I think, even more than it does a regular venue, a 3,000 or 4,000 capacity venue at this point in time. I think you graduated to the next level where you'd even get seasons ticket holders turning up out of curiosity.
Oh, cool. Yeah. It was a fantastic experience,
Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting to you. Congratulations on an excellent career to date. You're one of those guitarists that I sort of had you on a bucket list, actually, and I thought, when the next time an Opeth opportunity comes up to have a chat, sometimes we get a choice about who we talk to or try and get a chat to you, but as it is, John down there in Wollongong organised everything, and thankfully he got you, so I'm grateful for the opportunity to have a chat, mate. So congratulations again, and good luck with this album and everything in the future.
Thanks a lot, Andrew, and a pleasure just talking to you, and take care.
No worries, mate. Thanks very much.
Cheers.
Okay, cheers.
You have been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series, and I also syndicate for the A-List Online. My name's Andrew Mackay-Smith, and that was a conversation with Fredrik Åkesson, the guitarist in long-running Swedish metalers Opeth. Thank you so much for listening.